Alright, what's going on YouTube? We're back with some more Baldur's Gate 3 mod videos. This time we're taking a look at a subclass for the Sorcerer. It is the Cosmic Sorcery. This is a very powerful subclass that starts off really strong and just turns on borderline broken once you reach level 12 and level 20. There are two variations of this mod. You can get the level 12 or level 20 version for balancing. I'm going to be demonstrating the level 20 version. That means you'll get a lot more powerful spells a little bit later on versus the level 12 version, which I believe some spells are kind of cut out and balanced out a little bit more. So you still get some of the more powerful spells, but you won't get some of the overpowered stuff as you will with level 20. So at level 1, you start with the cantrip Cosmic Ray. This is essentially your Eldritch Blast, if you will. It does both fire and force damage, and I believe at level 20 it does up to 4 beams. And I want to say it's up to, 12 to 25 or 30 damage. We'll take a look at it at max level, but this does scale with your overall level, and the beams that you can shoot out increase up to 4 beams at level 20. For the first spells you get Spatial Rend, which allows you to teleport to an enemy and do force and slashing damage. And we have Witness Infinity. This essentially allows you to do psychic damage to your opponent and causes them to be stunned for at least 1 turn. You also get a subclass feature, Cosmic Bloodline. You're a Cosmic Sorcerer, your magic comes from deep within the Astral Plane, and your abilities are matched by none. So it doesn't exactly tell you what this is whenever you go through the level up process, but if you go and check on your character stats, this essentially gives you an advantage on arcane rolls. Now, for the Sorcerer class, specifically this subclass mod, you get these spells as you level up. You don't actually get to choose them through the level up process, so I'm not going to showcase me picking spells and things like that because there's no spells here that are listed that are included with the Cosmic Sorcery or Cosmic Sorcery. They're all given to you by level up. So if you want to go with the theme, you can do a lot of either like thunder or psychic damage, if you will, but we're just going to go ahead and bypass that, and I'm just going to show you what you get per each level of the Sorcery class. Alright, so at level 3 you get Precognition. Your senses beyond normal limits, allowing you to perceive things better than others, as well as detecting danger before it arrives. Essentially, this gives you an advantage on perception rolls. I believe it also gives you an advantage on initiation, but don't quote me on that last one. At level 4, we get additional cantrip. This is a gaseous form, or gaseous form. Apologize for that. Essentially, this allows you to just turn into a cloud of space dust. You can use this once per long rest. Essentially, you can be targeted, attacked, cast spells, or talk. So essentially, it's a good get-out-of-jail-free card to get out of situations. I believe there's very rare things that can dispel this. I want to say something that can dispel magic, or like silence may be able to get you knocked out of this concentration, but it's something I've really rarely used, but it's a good escape tool if you need it. At level 5, we get another subclass feature. This is Quantum Stability. These steps are guided by the Astral, allowing you to never lose balance. It essentially gives you immunity to ice and grease, and I believe you also are not affected by difficult terrain. Again, we'll kind of showcase these features as we go through like the equipment to kind of get a better look at the passives. You also get 2 new level 3 spells. The first one is Absorb, which allows you to do necrotic damage, as well as drain that same damage you do as life energy, so essentially you heal as much as you damage. And you also get Increased Gravity. This allows you to do force damage and pull within 5 meters, and allows you to slow them for 2 turns. I think it also knocks them prone for a turn. At level 6, we get another spell called Bubble. This allows you to cast a bubble on yourself or on a target and reduce 5 attacks to 1 damage. Now, for attacks like Magic Missile or Eldritch Blast, if they have multiple hits, that will drain those attacks. So this is really good for mainly like single-hitting targets, or like for paladins that do a bunch of smite damage and stuff. But for mages that can do Magic Missile and things like that, they can burn through that shield pretty quickly. At level 7, we get 3 new spells, or essentially 1 new spell and then 2 vanilla spells. The first one is going to be Comet, which is essentially your Force Fireball. It does 10 to 60 damage of fire and force damage. Essentially just works like Fireball, but has a pretty cool effect on, which we'll try and showcase, obviously, during the combat scenario. You also get Polymorph, and you get Solar Flare. Again, these are 2 vanilla spells here that you get. You don't have to pick these in the spell slot selection, so go nuts with what you want to pick here. At level 9, you get the ability to use Flight, up to 18 meters. You also get 2 new spells. The first one's Accelerate, which is essentially like a haste, but you can only cast it once per short rest. It lasts for 3 turns, and I do not think you're affected with the debuff of Lethargic afterwards. So it's a tuned up version of haste, if you will. You also get Telekinesis, which allows you to pick up an enemy or item and throw it within 18 meters. Pretty strong, but it is a concentration spell. You can use this for 10 turns. It's a concentration spell, so it's pretty good if you wanted to like try and throw enemies off cliffs, or if you're setting up for like barrelmancy and things like that. You can throw flame barrels or people using telekinesis. At level 10, we get a new action and new cantrip. One of the actions that we get is Cosmic Aura. This allows you to affect all enemies to become vulnerable to force damage. This lasts for 10 turns. It's in 20 meters, so a very, very long, large range of casting for this. It also is a bonus action, so it's a really good initiation tool. I don't know for certain how many enemies are actually immune or resist against force damage, but having them be vulnerable to it, because most of your damage is going to be from force damage, is really, really strong. You also get the cantrip Warp, which is basically just a free Misty Step anywhere within 50 meters, so you can get yourself out of danger pretty quickly. Again, this is why I mentioned, like, as the later levels of this subclass, goes from strong to almost borderline broken. At level 11, we get a new action. This is Black Hole. It essentially allows you to pull in up to enemies within 18 meters. It slows them for 1 turn, and it puts them into the center of the black hole if they fail the dex save. You also get the Global Invulnerability, pretty standard spell from the vanilla game. And you also get, and I'm going to butcher this, and I apologize, Omniscience, I think is how you pronounce that. It allows you to essentially turn into a almost demigod for 10 turns. You'll get, I believe you get an extra action, extra bonus action, and you also get increased damage to a lot of your spells. Is this a concentration, so you can be knocked out of it. You also get the ability Time Stop, which allows you to stop all creatures within 8 meters, lasts for 10 turns, also concentration. Now, this doesn't affect allies, I believe, for my testing, just enemies. And so at level 12, you'll get the ability called Summon Simulacrum, I think is how you pronounce that. And again, I apologize for the pronunciation. This allows you to essentially duplicate yourself to have some of the abilities that you have. Fair warning with this spell, if you have a custom body or custom armor and weapons, it will not show up on the character and they will appear naked. So just keep that in mind whenever you use this spell. I'm not sure if there's maybe a patch coming out for that, but yeah, any custom body that you have, any custom armor, for example, the armor that I'm using is from a mod, so whenever I do use this spell, unfortunately, my character does come up naked. You also get the spell Meteor Shower, which is essentially a buffed up version of Comet. It allows you to essentially fire 5 miniature comets across the field. They do 5 to 300 damage of fire and force damage. Essentially, this is a really, really powerful spell that will one-shot your almost basic enemy, especially in the late game. You can do a lot of damage with this. At level 13, you get another spell called Extinction. This is a beam of energy that spreads off the 6 targets, does 12 to 96 force damage with a charisma save. It's very, very strong. Definitely one of those spells to where, like, if there's a group of enemies or, like, maybe someone summoned a bunch of skeletons, you can aim at one of them and it'll just ricochet off and essentially kill a lot of those enemies, making the battle a little bit more easier for yourself. At level 15, we get another spell, a level 8 spell. This is Warp Reality. Warp Reality is pretty interesting because you actually get 4 variations of Warp Reality, which I'll showcase here in a second once we get past the level up process. But you get 4 options to use the Warp Reality. Alright, at level 17, we get a level 9 spell. This is Eviscerate. Essentially, this is the fuck you button. Whatever you want to die in that direction over there, this will destroy that enemy. However, be careful because this will destroy items that they're carrying. I don't know if there's a way to stop it from destroying essentially like key items, such as the stones. I forget what they're called off the top of my head. But the nether stones, I believe is what they're called. I don't know if they'll actually destroy those. I doubt it, just because they are key items in the game. But I would just say, essentially save this for something that you want to kill, but you don't mind not having the chance to loot off of them. At level 19, we get another action here. This is called Supernova. Release all of your power into one devastating attack. Use at your own risk. This probably isn't a good idea. And this is right. I will showcase it because I know someone's going to be curious about this. I will show what it does. But for those who've played the game, I think you probably get a gist of what's about to happen. So definitely we'll showcase that here in a second. And finally, at level 20, we get our final subclass feature, Astral Ascension. You can now surpass your mortal limit to become a demigod. You may swap between your mortal and demigod forms as you please. So that's going to be it for the level up process. Again, this is the level 20 variation of it. There is a level 12 if you wanted to kind of balance it out a little bit more and be a little bit more reasonable. I know a lot of people don't really play past level 20 if they're going through just like the basics campaign. Level 20 and higher is usually used for Trials of Tav, which is what I do a lot of my testing on. Alright, so we're going to go over some of the subclass features that didn't give like a full description when going through the level up process. We already talked about Astral Ascension. Cosmic Bloodline, as I mentioned earlier, makes you resistant to force damage and have advantage on Arcana checks. You have Precognition, which gives you advantage on perception checks. And then you have Quantum Stability, which allows you to be immune to falling prone from ice or grease and affected by difficult terrain. So essentially this allows you to traverse the battlefield a little bit easier, especially like through like things like web or like vines and things like that. So it really makes it easier to get around. Plus, you also have the warp ability, so that's also very strong. In terms of the equipment, as always, I'm using the phage distribution. This is from the Sorcerer's bundle here, which I can showcase here in a second. So it's going to be from the Sorcerer bundle, which I believe is called the Chaos and Control. This is the Act 3 bag here that you get. So let's open up this up here. You have Acts 1, 2, and 3. I'm using the Act 3 armor and weapons, which is some of it's strong, but some of it is a little bit overpowered. I'm just going to highlight over exactly what it is here, and you can pause to read the abilities that you get from each one. So yeah, a lot of these armor and weapons that I use in these videos are from phage distribution. I just find it a little bit easier to balance them out. You can obviously use more of like the vanilla armor and stuff like that, and weapons and items that are in the game itself if you don't want to use like modded items. I just feel like with some of the modded classes, these modded items make a little bit more sense of balancing. But again, you can use staffs and equipments and items that are more vanilla based and will also do well with the Sorcerer class. Is, for example, like the Anthebus Heartstone. I rarely use this. It's nice to get a +2 to your spell save and DC and armor class, but I don't use like the Heartstone infusion because I'm not going to do melee damage, right? Infuse your weapon with the power of Heartstone, adding your charisma modifier to attack rolls instead of its dexterity modifier for 10 turns. Now, I believe that's only for like melee damage. I don't think that works with spells. I could be wrong because it just say increase your attack modifier, so it could be also for magic as well too. I just typically don't use it because when I play as a sorcerer, I typically don't think to hit people with my staff. So another item that I don't particularly use, I just put it on for aesthetic reasons, is the Amulet of Infinite Wellspring. This essentially just gives you infinite sorcery points whenever you activate it. I believe once per long rest. You can activate it so that you get unlimited spell sorcery points, which allows you to basically turn those into spell slots. So you can really like stack this on and kind of glitch it out to have like a lot of spell slots if you wish. But overall, these items are pretty well balanced out for the most part. They fit well within the theme of the sorcerer or like the paladin. I've used it for the barbarian classes and things like that too. So that's the overall equipment, and just to kind of showcase a little bit of the powers before we do the combat demonstration here. One of them I do want to showcase is the omniscience. I think is how you pronounce that. So here you have the omniscience here. This entity is hyper aware of everything around it, so I don't know if you get any other bonus actions with that. We'll go ahead and go into turn-based mode here for a second. So we'll take a look here. I don't think we really get too many things from that. I think you just get a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit more resistant to damage, but overall, it doesn't really give too much that I can see in terms of like the timer going out for the omniscience. Now, I imagine you probably are a little bit stronger and probably your spells do a little bit more damage, but at face value, it doesn't really seem like much. It is pretty cool to look at, though. The one that you're really going to get the most advantage of is the Astral Ascension. I'll go ahead and showcase that here now. Alright, so this one would be a lot more noticeable. This is the Astral Ascension. This essentially allows you to become a demigod. It takes roughly 1 turn to activate. And now you can see we are ascended. We basically become a demigod. We're very powerful, very strong. You can see here right off the rip we get another action and bonus action. Our spells do a lot more damage. I believe we get also essentially other buffs as well. You basically become resistant to all damage types from slashing, piercing, bludgeoning, and elemental resistance as well here. So you're a lot more harder to kill. I mean, obviously you can still die, but you're not going to take as much damage. You get more chances to attack. I believe your spells also do a little bit more damage while you're in your astral form. And overall, I just like the cool aesthetic of it, like this pinkish purplish hue around your character. And you can activate and deactivate this at any time, so like there's no reason not to use it if you feel like being broken, or let's say you're playing like on honor mode and nightmare mode. This is one of those ways that you can balance that out if you wish once you reach level 20. So very, very strong ability here. But overall, hopefully you guys appreciate and enjoyed the showcase here for that. As always, we're going to end this off with the combat scenario using the Trials of Tav. Subscribe, bell notification icon, all that fun stuff. And I will be back with more videos in the future. Take care. Hey, so quick editing hero here. I did forget to mention about Warp Reality. I did kind of briefly go over it. But Warp Reality, you have 4 options. One is Warp Reality Heal, which allows you to heal all allies within a 25-meter radius and also resurrect them if they're downed. You have Warp Reality Harm, which allows you to do 100 points of force damage within 25 meters. You have Warp Reality Freeze, which freezes all enemies in time for 5 turns. And you have Warp Reality Bubble, which allows you to conjure a bubble around yourself and all allies. So, for example, I'm going to use Warp Reality Bubble because it's a good initiation. So, and now for the exchange of 1 level 8 spell slot, all my allies have a bubble, which will negate up to 5 after 5 turns of damage, reducing all the damage taken by 1. So, obviously, as I mentioned before, this can also be negated by like things like Magic Missile if it's upcasted and things like that. So, but just wanted to quickly reference that before we go ahead and continue with the Trials of Tab battle scenario. Catch you guys next time.
Right away.
Where do I go from here? Blood comes easy these days.
A bold maneuver.
Another fight. Let's go. Never a dull moment. At the ready.
Unleash me.
Taking position.
I will not know failure.
Time to push my luck again. Best be on my way.
Hey, editing Hero here one more time. I didn't forget to showcase the couple of spells that I mentioned before. There's actually one that you get whenever you are in your Astral Ascension form. This is Power Word Judgment, which, as you can see, it does every type of damage known to man. You can use this once per long rest with your Divine Power, cast Judgment onto your enemies, and show them the wrath of a god. So, yeah, pretty powerful. I believe this just does a shit ton of damage, like, no matter what or where you are. So that's essentially like the activation form. We'll try and do like a quick combat scenario, maybe just like a quick one here to kind of showcase the actual damage. But again, you get that spell, and then also one that I did not forget. I didn't mention it before. It was the final action that we got, which was Supernova. And I apologize in advance for the screen that you're about to see. Sorry. So yeah, it's essentially like Gale's orb. If you decide to use it, it will just do a shit ton of damage to yourself. Now, you can negate the damage, obviously, by bubbling yourself, as you can see here. It's probably the only reason I'm still alive and my companions are alive is because I hit them with the bubble. But yeah, if you just ever need to kill everything in one direction, this Supernova would be it. I believe you can also like kind of like banish or like turn yourself into like a gaseous form or anything like that, like your allies. But yeah, it will do a crap ton of damage. But I'll show a quick clip here of the Power Word Judgment just to kind of showcase that, as well, as I didn't get a chance to do that within battle. So then that'll be the end of the video. Alright, so here as promised is the Power Word Judgment. Now, this does do a wide area of effective attack. Let's see if I can get like a good angle and everything. Probably not the best angle, but we can make it work. But as you can see, it pretty much just targets the entire field, so like no one is safe. And it just completely eviscerates them. I believe it just does damage, which is why you can only use it once per long rest. But yeah, essentially does every damage type, as you can see here. Sorry, that's not it. It does every type of damage up to 260 points of damage. So yeah, that's complete thunder, psychic, radiant, acid, necrotic, poison, so on and so forth. So very, very powerful spell. Will show them that you are a demigod, essentially. This can only be used while you're in your Astral Ascension form, so just keep in mind of that. But anyways, take care. Hope to see you guys next time, and I will be back with another video here in the next couple of days.